action, as they say in Hollywood. Welcome, welcome, welcome to day 3. The replay viewers are the only ones hearing that welcome because Kathy is opening the doors and letting our live attendees in. Welcome, live attendees. When you get here, please today introduce yourself in the chat box. We are having a ton of fun getting to know each other in the Facebook group, and more of you are joining, and not only joining the Facebook group, but joining the conversation. You're feeling that essence of community and you're learning through each other. It's so important. And so for those of you who might be a little behind the curve, because I asked you how many times now to join the darn Facebook group, I feel like how many times I have to ask Vivian to unload the dishwasher. Sorry, no, I'm just giving you a hard time. But I have enjoyed getting to know many of you inside that Facebook group, and there are way more people signed up for this training than there are joining us there. So if you are not present in the Facebook group yet, especially introduce yourself so we can get to know you. And even if you are playing over there, introduce yourself. Let us know your name, where you're from, what you do. And let's start this morning by lighting up the chat box with our energy field. All right, I am super excited. I love talking about radical self-trust. I feel like this is a superpower. And today I have a big promise for you. And that is, I am going to reveal to you my foolproof formula for success, so you do not have to feel the frustration of failure anymore. How many of you are excited to get this? You feel like that's going to be valuable? It's a game changer for me. So simple too. And while I'm excited to share that with you, I also want to give you the bigger picture. And actually, let me just take this moment to remind you to turn off the tabs. My Facebook notification just dinged. So that's reminding me, shut off all the tabs. I'm not shutting off exactly all of my tabs though, because I have some special things that I want to share with you all later. Kathy, don't shut off all your tabs too, either, I should say, because we've got very special things that we want to share with you. We'll be searching for that like crazy. But everybody else, please shut your tabs off, shut your phones off, show up here in a space of community, drop in, because the records are working to transform us this week, to shift our energy, to shift our DNA, our perspective, to give us strength and community. And as I'm dropping in here with you all on a deeper level, I can feel my third eye buzzing. Yeah, show up fully. The Akashic Records will meet you in your level of presence and support you and assist you on this transformation. So thank you for giving me and yourself your full attention as we go through this. All right, so this foolproof formula for success, it's like you're about to walk away with a magic wand in your hand. You are about to be at that moment where you have an opportunity to change everything. And I want you to be prepared for these moments, because moments like this require you to make a big decision, and that requires radical self-trust. This is a place along the way where many people can get tripped up. So I am honored and excited to break it down and make it much easier for you so you don't get tripped up. Okay? All right, so today I'm going to show you those formulas. At the end, I would love to show you how I can help you along the way. We're going to map out the bigger picture today. Is that cool if we map out the bigger picture and then I share with you how I can help you along the way? Awesome. Give me a thumbs up. Yes. Okay. Let's recap quickly. Yesterday, we looked at self-love from a different perspective, from the perspective of really the opposite, self-hate. Where am I showing up for self-hate? And we looked at how our society has been groomed. We are literally burning generations of karma when it comes to self-hatred on this planet and generationally. So that shift into examining self-love from the perspective of where am I not wanting enough for myself? Y'all, I love human potential. This topic just inspires the heck out of me. More coming today that I'm just really, today's a big day. Just drop back in. Go into your solar plexus this time. Solar plexus is about 2 inches above the belly button. Again, personal power. This is what we need for radical self-trust. Your potential is going to get stretched today. The energy is already working. I'm so excited for you. I'm excited for the planet. All right, slow blinks, come on back in. Self-love is the environment that is going to make it possible for you to tap into courage, radical self-trust, and execute and move forward on the plans that drop in for you today. Today is a big day of mapping where you're going to walk away with this soul direction that I promised you. Tomorrow we get to talk about course corrections. So here's another thing. All right, any of y'all Girl Scouts or Boy Scouts out there? As you were growing up, if you were, give me your Girl Scouts honor. I am not going to worry about how far off I am from my path today. When you see your soul direction come through in the work that we do today, you know, I've invited you to play big along the way. You're going to have to play big again today. But at the end of the day, the questions I ask you are going to reveal what this potentiality looks like. You got to promise me. Just suspend your disbelief. Maybe you look at this, you think you can't do it. Let's worry about that later. I'm going to show you tomorrow about course correction. But just promise me that you will show up fully today and dream big, not only for your sake, but for the sake of the planet. Can I get an amen up in here? All right. Amen, Girl Scouts honor, all the things. Self-love is the space that you need. We talked about that yesterday. We're going to continue this journey of expansion. I continue leaning into self-love for me too, and asking my guides to reveal that to me continuously. I feel like the self-love energy is an endless well that we can tap into. It's infinite. And this is a secret source of the power, I feel, behind why my clients and students get incredible transformation. I want to brag on them just a little bit for you guys. I got to put my glasses on though, because I wrote out just some really specific, amazing results that certain clients have gotten along the way that I feel like are going to be impactful for this group. It's going to be important for you to hear this and know that this is possible for you too. So clients like Cindy and Laura who found, I'm going to say they found answers to their autoimmune diseases. They're no longer experiencing symptoms. Sometimes playing with that word heal, you know, I don't not consider myself a hero. I'm a hero. Sorry. I definitely consider myself a hero. You all should too. We should all consider ourselves the heroes of our story. I was going to say, I don't necessarily shy away from that word healer. I don't necessarily shy away from that word guru. I think just like I don't get attached to, is it masters, teachers, loved ones, guides, my higher self, whoever comes forward in that moment, it's less about that label for me. That's that Buddhist in me. It doesn't need the labels, right? But truly, a healer, none of us can heal each other. We can only create an environment for the individual who is out of alignment or in dis-ease to move back into vibrational harmony, right? Ooh, I just got chills moved through my body. Same with clients and who come in with physical or emotional dis-eases. Sometimes it's scary to claim healing, but I healed myself. Because then symptoms come back along the way. The important thing to remember is this is all vibrational. And clients, especially clients with autoimmune disease, I think every part of our body that moves into dis-ease will respond to this energy, but autoimmune seems to especially respond to this. Clients who write books, okay, Eva, oh, this one's a crazy one, because she had this project that she was working on, and she brought it to me. She said, Emily, I've been working on this for a long time. Eva had PhD degrees in math and science. And because of her life challenges, she was working as a janitor, you guys. It's crazy. And she brought to me this project. She wanted to learn to read the records. She brought this manuscript, this project that she'd been working on. It was fantasy fiction. And so we started moving through this project and getting it finished and putting the pieces out there. And it's mind-blowing. It was published right before COVID, and the storyline precognitively chronicled COVID. It was a fantasy fiction story about what our society was experiencing in those moments. And she won an award for fantasy fiction, which is super cool. I'm working on another book right now with Robert. He's creating a field guide for men whose spouses are diagnosed with terminal illness. He lost his wife 6 years ago, and he recognized that there was such a journey for him, and he needed so much support, and in so many different multidimensional ways. He's creating this field guide, and I've taught him to channel his late wife in the Akashic Records, so she has an influence on the book too, and it's absolutely magical. I've helped many of my clients like Karen, Laura M, start multi-six-figure businesses. Makes me emotional, because what this has meant for me in being a woman and a mom and a human in the modern day world, to show up and share my gifts and genius and create an abundant life for that, and leave a legacy on the planet and teach others how to do that. This is freedom. It's one of my greatest honors and favorite things to do is build businesses. I've helped clients leave 7- and 8-figure businesses and create what they really want to create, which takes some balls. I'm working with a couple of engineers right now who are creating really fun technology that will shift the planet. That's really all I want to say about that one. I've used it myself. I shared with you all a little of my story of how I used this energy to quintuple my income. I'm going to tell you more about my own personal experience today, but let's get going. Okay. So how many of you guys identified with at least one of those stories? Maybe you want to write a book, or maybe you want to start a business, or maybe there's, dis-ease or something in your life that you need to shift or heal. Good. Yeah, I tried to pull from the energy that felt really resonant of what stories would inspire you. All right. And whatever you are here to create and how you're here to affect the planet, I'm holding space for you. Kathy and I are pulling for you. We're on your team. We love you. All right. So today we are going to get super clear and focused. Pull this map out of you so that you can get on the journey and you can save yourself some time. This is going to require radical self-trust, because there will be a point of initiation for you along the way where you will have to show up and prove your belief systems wrong. How many of you all believe that to be true? That there's going to be there's initiation? Yeah. This definitely requires radical self-trust. Of course, I'm going to tell you what radical self-trust means to me and what I've pulled from the records on how we can tap into it. What does it mean to you? What does radical self-trust mean to you? I'd love to hear in the comments. If you were defining radical self-trust, I don't know why I put my glasses on the top of my head. I definitely going to need them to read the comments. All right. Yeah, here we go. Mike says, trust yourself enough to take a leap of faith on a major life change. Yes, of course, I love that. Never any questioning about my decisions. Awesome, Ray, that's cool. Tig says, no question of self-doubt. Yeah. Flow with ease. Yes, all of these things. Deborah, stepping forward without seeing more than the next step. Yeah, I find that sometimes is part of the journey too. Yes, all of this. I like the dedication that Ray and Tig both have to not showing up for any of that self-doubt along the way. I'm going to invite us, let's hold that as a trajectory and recognize that as we're humans moving through this process, the chances of your self-doubt coming up are like 100%. And recognizing it and moving through it quickly right now is where I'm holding myself to a level of mastery. So I'll be honest with you, it still comes up. I don't get so frustrated if it comes up. I'm just willing to move through it more quickly. One of my favorite astrologers, Kara Melindi, she's one of the women that I mentioned that I helped her to create a multi-six-figure business at this point. But Kara is famous for saying, remember, we can hold 2 vibrational frequencies at one time. So just know, part of you may be in self-doubt, but the other part of me is ready to move through that, ready to conquer that, right? Cool. Yeah, you guys are in the flow here. All right. Before I tell you what I think radical self-trust is, I more want to show you, just like, or tell you a story of what it looked like in my life to embody radical self-trust. Because there are parts of it that are not very glamorous. And I think it's important to know that. I think it's important to recognize that we all have challenges as we are moving through our journey. It's how we show up to those challenges that really defines who we are. And my failures have defined far more of my character and revealed to me the areas where I can grow, which that is gold, than my successes have. The reason most of us lack radical self-trust is because we failed. Because somewhere along the way, we have attempted big and we have failed. And rather than examining our failure with curiosity, we just believe that we have failed and we judge ourselves as a failure. You see how those are 2 totally different pathways right there. Oh God, chills through my whole body. That's a moment where your timeline will shift, your trajectory will shift based on what question you ask yourself. Questions are so important. Elon Musk talks about the answers are easy. Sometimes it's the question that's harder to define than the answer. Once we have the question, it's easy. How many of you have asked some powerful questions in your Akashic Records this week and got some great answers from those powerful questions? I love good questions. It's an area where I geek out in a level of artistry that not a lot of people understand. But I spend the time in the records curating and cultivating these questions and asking for their support. Help me know what questions to ask. Okay, so since most of you have probably walked down the pathway where you attempted something big, maybe you were young and you attempted to, oh, you know what I attempted to do one time that was big for me and then I failed? I tried out for Bunny Sue, which was the lead in the 4th grade play. But I was a 3rd grader, y'all. And I was fresh off of my guest starring role as the snow princess in Mr. Grumpy in 2nd grade with my wand. And so I attempted big and I tried out for the lead in the 4th grade play as a 3rd grader, and I did not get the role. So yours could even go back to childhood, right? Or it could be something that's happened in your adult life. As you begin to overlay these stories onto your life for learning and growth, or these teachings that I'm sharing, you go with whatever comes up in your mind, and know that even though we haven't officially opened the Akashic Records yet, the Akash is working to heal and illuminate that energy for you. This is very multidimensional work. Everything you think about over these 4 days with me gets an upgrade. All right, so rather than going down that path of we failed big, we're judging ourselves, let's get curious about why people fail. Have you ever gotten curious about really the methodology around why people fail? So good. Most people fail because they lack 4 things. The first one is support. You're not in a community of people doing bigger things. The second reason is guidance. The third is accountability. The fourth is mentorship, someone who's gone before you. Guidance, if we wanted to define guidance, I would say that's finding clarity and focus. And because we don't have these things along the way, we fail. And I fail along the way until I figured all of these things out and stepped into it. So here's what it looked like for me. Remember yesterday when we left off and I just had this amazing epiphany experience where my timeline split and I'm like, screw Hollywood. I've got to work with human potentiality. This is like, nothing's as cool as this. And so I decided I wanted to study the Akashic Records and train others in their Akashic Records, because that felt more powerful than reading records for people. Is teaching people how to do it. We all have the ability to do it. Are we all committed enough on our journey to raise our vibrational frequency to access it? Not yet. But every human comes with the ability to do this. And it made sense to me to live in a world where humans have this level of access. So get busy, Emily. So I trained in the Akashic Records. I was the girl in the front of the class. It's probably not surprised you, but I was like, oh, me. Every time the teacher asked a question, me. It was like a homecoming. It was like a remembrance of my soul. And I, like I said, instantly knew that I wanted to teach it. So once I was done with my training, I started looking into online businesses. I asked my friend to teach me how to do a blog. I was just learning a lot as I went. I wasn't even on Facebook at this point. I gave myself a powerful mantra. I am learning. I started learning social media. I started learning blogs, and I started learning then just like, a little bit more about marketing. And I was taking lots of free webinars and starting to make some progress. Maybe 5 years or so into the process, we moved to Reno, where my kids had an amazing opportunity because their dad at that point in time, he'd been out of a job for a long time in LA, which is part of what made our life there so difficult. And he got a job at a private school where the kids had scholarships. There's no way my kids could have gone to private school. And this private school was it. The fundamental and the ideas behind this type of Expedition Academy is what it's called, is that the kids do most of their learning outside of the classroom, hence the name Expedition Academy. So when the kids were learning about immigration, they teach them all of the things that they can teach them in a classroom. Then they take them down to Tijuana, to the border, where they interview Border Patrol, they interview families. Then they wake these kids up in the middle of the night and take them on a 10-mile dark and silent hike to have the experience of what it's like to cross the border. And then they bring these kids back to their classrooms, where they create public service announcements and ways to educate the rest of the community. Who wouldn't move for your kids to go to a school? Like, education is something that is, public schools are tough, man. So we made this shift, and it didn't work out so well. In 18 months of being here, Mike was not, well, I mean, if I were to relate it to this work here, he wasn't in the timeline of his highest potential. there was a disharmony with him and his coworkers and his superiors, and they fired him, and they pulled the kids' scholarships, which was a lot to process. Now, what I haven't told you, the backstory is, man, y'all, Mike and I have been fighting for years at this point. We needed relationship help. We tried things. It wasn't working. Man, we love each other a lot, but just, it was constant. And it was getting to the point where, because we didn't have methodology or mechanisms or paradigms, Gwyneth and Mr. Martin had not consciously uncoupled yet, and we hadn't processed through, like, what does this look like? And it got just so ugly. And in spring of 2019, he moved out, which was with all of the intensity leading up to it, and then the release and the peace afterwards. I mean, that's such an intense swing, but then to go through the processing of what the children were going through and all the pieces, fuck, I was a mess. And doing my work to know that there's a bigger picture, right? And so Mike calls me one day. I'm at a Toastmasters meeting. I'm practicing getting better at my public speaking. And it's just rapid fire blowing up on my phone. And I'm like, what happened? And I walk out and I answer the phone. And he's like, Emily, I got robbed. He's freaking out. I'm like, what do you mean that I got robbed? That you got robbed? He said, well, the severance check that I took to the bank, remember, he got fired just weeks before this. I took the severance check to the bank to cash it. I felt like if I had the money in my hands, like this man is feeling broken at this point and scared. And so he feels like if he has the cash in his hand, no one can take it from him, and he gets robbed. Like, how is that for intense, in your face? Sometimes I call it Jerry Springer karma. So within a matter of months, Mike had moved out. He lost his job. Kids were switching schools. All is happening so quickly. All the money gone, all the resource that we were accustomed to gone. And I stayed calm, but I definitely said, oh shit. And I thought, all right, it's cool, Emily. You just do what you did back in Hollywood when things got tough. Just go get a job waiting tables. So I went to local casinos and I started filling out applications to be a cocktail waitress. And my guide said, what the fuck are you doing? Don't you dare. Now, fine, show me what I should do instead. They said, get a coach, get a business coach, like learn what you need to learn. And something in that clicked. So I started researching coaches, and I found the 3 best spiritual / business coaches, or quantum, or they had to have a higher awareness. And I interviewed them and I found my favorite one. And I thought, okay, I'm going to get on the enrollment call with them, whatever it is that it costs. It's probably more than I have right now. If I had $1,000, I figured it was going to cost me maybe like $4 or $5 for a weekend training, which was a stretch, but I'm like, I'll figure out how to do it. I get on this call, and this mentor shares with me this freaking brilliant concept that he's put together. And it looks like a week in Costa Rica with the highest level business trainers possible. And we are working in real time to build the business during that week. And I thought that, yep, that's what I need. And he said, it's $25,000. And my guide said, do it. And I said, what the fuck? Applicable answer to both of them. The guy I was on the call with and the guides, but my heart was like a yes. And this energy flowed down into my heart. It was a yes. And so I thought, all right, you're being stretched, figure it out. And so I said, all right, give me a couple days. I'm going to figure it out. I exhausted every single possibility I could. And they were all no's, including asking my family, who had bailed me out in other times in my life. When I was poor and I couldn't afford milk for the kids, you give me money, but now that I want to invest in myself, you won't. I definitely felt that flare out, but I didn't give it a whole lot of attention because I needed to figure this out. And so I went back to the coach and I explained to him, remember that $1,000 I said I had? I had $1,000 of granny money, family money. My grandmother had just passed. And I had $0 to pay rent and $0 to keep my kids fed and in a lifestyle. And I thought, I'm going to go back to where I came from. Back in those moments of food stamps. You'll remember that picture that I shared with you. And so I tell him, hey, I've exhausted every option. I have $1,000. Will you please just unlock the online training for me? And he said to me, Emily, I can appreciate where you've been, but you need to figure out where you want to go. I'm going to pause my story there. Dramatic cliffhanger. I'm not going to tell you if he took me on as a client and if I made it or not, or if he rejected me. There's a lot of responsibility on coaches. Like I don't share this with you to encourage you to make an irresponsible decision, because from certain perspectives, that could have been an irresponsible decision of me to, from the logical mind. Emily, you got 3 kids. You're responsible to take care of them. You're gonna put your last $1,000 on red? Roulette analogy for those of you who are not gamblers, which good for you, by the way. Well, you have to find out, because I walked away from that and I said, okay, what do I do to figure out where I want to go? This is what I did. All right, Kathy, I want you to queue up the GPS worksheet. We're gonna invite you all to do these by hand. I'm sorry that we did not have this in the workbook for you. We're gonna have it in there on version 4.0 of the workbook, but you're just gonna have to draw it freehand this time. Okay. I'm going to take you into the Akashic Records so you have that flow of divine intelligence while we're moving through this worksheet, but this is what it's going to look like. All right. You don't have to draw all of those things. We're basically plotting 2 points in these different areas. All right, Kathy, can you cue us up some music while we open the records? Thank you. I'm going to invite everybody to find your posture. All 4 corners of the feet on the floor, hands up in a receptive position, deep breath in, creating space in the body. Create space in your mind, create space in the field. Spaciousness is exactly what we need to call in new opportunities. Exhale like you're breathing through a straw. And notice you're working here with me and we're going into the records. This is more than just reflection. This is truly, we're rewriting the records. Deep breath in. I can't hear it yet, Kathy. Pausing at the top of that breath. Good, nice slow exhale. Imagine the body illuminating with rainbow light. Perfect. Good, take that 3rd deep breath in with me, everybody. Call the consciousness into the ground. Pausing at the top. It's a 0-point energy. We're 2 waves cancel each other out. There's no resistance here. I want you to let go of all that you think matters. Let go of matter. Exhale. Becoming presence, becoming consciousness. Imagining the crystalline tube of light, anchoring it into the core of Mother Earth, all the way up out of this time space continuum, anchoring into the Akash, opening up that flow of energy. Feel it moving into your body. Light, tremendous amounts of light. Good. Drop the consciousness from the mind into the heart, activating the heart mind. Here, it's on the 5 sacred realms. I relax my body. I relax my mind. I release my ego. I call in the lights. This I open the Akashic Records of Emily's sustained years. Records. Let me shift from our music back to our worksheet. All right. We are going to very simply take a look at where we are now in the areas of our health, our wealth, our relationships, and our career. I think there's aspect of spirituality, spirit in all of these. But I wanted to, today, as I was getting on the show, I'm like, should we put spirit on there too? Spiritual, Kathy? Maybe in the 4.0 version we will. For now, I want you to think about how spirituality is represented in all of these areas for you. And I want you to jot some notes down just quickly. Where I am now in my health, I do not want you to overthink it. Think it for a nanosecond. Think big when you fire those neurons. Write down where you want to be. What feels ideal for you? And we're going to take just a couple of minutes here. I want you to move quickly. I want you to not overthink this. Rapid fire. Won't give your logical mind time to enter in there. Just go straight with the intuitive mind. I'm holding space for you all as you are moving through this. And I'm going to be quiet because Deb, who you heard on the video yesterday, she's been a very special client friend over the years. She's like, Emily, I can't think when you're talking. I'm like, okay, I'll shut up. Just one more minute. All right. You can stop the screen share now, Kathy. And I want to complete this part of our process by giving you the formula, this foolproof formula that I promised you for success. It looks like this. Step 1, define success. What does success look like to me? When this dropped into my field and I realized, holy shit, sometimes I had these big visions of grandeur. I don't know, you think? No. Missouri to Hollywood. I see how that presents now. I feel like the Academy is a reincarnation, I'll call it. It's the same consciousness as Heliopolis, the great mystery schools of ancient Egypt, which is a huge consciousness to hold. I'm like, really? But I recognized about myself, I didn't before I learned this. Now there's no way I don't do it. But I didn't spend time defining truly what success looked like for me. So that's step one. What does success look like? Step two, what steps do I need to take to get there? Do you see the path emerging already by these very specific but simple questions? Here's the accountability piece. By when? Any goal you have, especially if you're working in the Akashic Records to receive that high vibrational wisdom and that support, that unconditional love, so you get wisdom, guidance, clarity as you go, you will succeed with that quantum support, that superpower available to you, and with this formula available to you. You will see what is unseen and you will know what steps you need to take. You will begin to build radical self-trust. Now that you can break this down, I can do that. How many of you look at those questions and you're like, damn, that was simple. I can do that. Mind-blowingly powerful. I think the most profound insights and the ones that changed my life the most are the simplest. It always blows my mind how simple they are. Got my Maui cup today, although it's kind of washing off. Sending love to Hawaii, Maui, Lahaina. Okay. I want to finish up my personal story for you and pick up where I left off, which is he took my $1,000. He opened self-study online training, and I said, I will figure out how to make the money that I need with this intelligence. I've got 6 weeks to do it. And within that 6 weeks, I not only made the $25,000 that I needed to go, but I also made enough money to keep my family afloat. And I created a new template of success for myself. But man, as soon as he took my $1,000, boy, I was scared. My butt clenched. I opened that training and just started going like it was nobody's business. Did I believed in myself. Did I know whether or not I was going to succeed? I didn't. But I did believe in myself. And what happened was at that training, I earned $54,000 in contracts in 1 week. And over the course of the rest of that year, that fiscal year, I had done $170,000 in contracts. And you see the emotion come up because there's still that rawness in me. It was an accelerated timeline, but I did it. And now I have that template. And I don't worry about sourcing and resourcing and how I get to build the academy. I needed that personally to overcome my personal limiting beliefs. And I needed it for Emily's journey into leadership around the academy. Your situation is, it's going to look similar in a lot of ways, different and individual and unique, but you will come up against challenges. Kathy, roll the Heather Jordan video for us, please.
The 600-meter underway. Heather Dornard in Minnesota finished second in this event a year ago. She is in lane 4.
And Dornan is probably going to be your favorite. She actually won the NCAA championships in 2006 in the 800, but she only won 1 Big Ten championships in the 2 years.
3 laps in this event, 600 meters, 3 times around the 200-meter track here at the field house.
What a bold move by Fawn. She's looking very confident, and the Penn State runner is just running amazing today. She did win her heat in the 400, but ended up taking 4th overall.
That's Fawn Dorr moving into the lead, a sophomore from Penn State. Dornarden running second.
Dornarden last year scored 23 points for the Golden Gophers in their Big Ten championship, so they're really relying on getting a lot of points from her this weekend, and she's just coming by Fawn Dorr now in the home stretch, heading into the bell lap. Dornarden went down.
Dornarden falling down, gets up quickly, but that's going to cost her. Lucky she wasn't injured.
Her teammate just went to the front, though, so they may be able to recover from that. And Dornarden is flying down the backstretch.
She is catching up.
She is going to catch Fawn Dorr, and she may catch the leaders.
Wow.
But she's got Fawn.
This is a gutsy effort by Dornarden. Can she pull it off? She's moved into 3rd. Dornarden coming down the stretch from the outside. Dornarden coming on strong. Dornarden all the way. Dornarden. Yes, she did it. Wow, unbelievable.
That is amazing. To fall in a 600, I mean, this is basically a sprint. I mean, this is an extended 400, basically. To fall with 200 meters to go and get up and win, that is unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
Losing it, crying over here. I love that video because I love human potential. So inspiring to me. I also had an acting coach tell me, "You're really pretty, Emily, but you cry ugly." I don't care if you see me cry though, but woo, that gets me every single time. That's why I love human potential. You see how that takes radical self-trust in that moment? You think she knew whether or not she was going to cross the finish line first when she got up? No, she probably didn't know in that moment. But I believe she heard the voice that said, "Get up, you can do it." And I bet she believed that voice. Obviously she did, right? Whether or not she crossed the finish line first, she is a big winner. Who wants to be a big winner like Heather? I do. I know, right? Okay, and being honest with you right now, you're dangerous. I love the coach that gave me that perspective of myself in my mind. I hope you can feel the spirit behind that, meaning I'm dangerous to make a change, to make a ripple in the world in a positive way. You're dangerous right now because you have the information. Your soul direction is nothing other than what your soul desires at the highest potential. It's not that complicated. It's not rocket science. You now have the formula that you can reverse engineer. And because I have walked myself and dozens of other visionaries along this journey, I know that there are pitfalls along the way. So is it all right with you if I share with you what the pitfalls are? I think it's going to be valuable for you to see them. I also would love to share with you, with your permission, how I can help you along the way. And that might not be for all of you. And that's okay. But I definitely feel like it's going to be super valuable to, yes, please. Awesome. Thank you, Tig. To check out where the pitfalls get us. We did a lot of mapping today. This one I call success mapping. So thank you for being patient with me. This is why I have Kathy do most of the things, because there's my mapping slides. Very challenging to do multiple things at once. But I got to do the slides because she don't know how long I'm going to talk between every slide. She wouldn't know when to click. All right, so success mapping. This is what we're going to do, is we're going to take a look at where you go from here now that you have your individual maps. I like to create a culture of wins and looking at where we've come. We've got to turn around and look at where we've come. You come a long way this week. You've addressed some massive problems. You've addressed atrophied intuition. You're bringing your intuition back online. You've addressed lack of self-love. You've addressed lack of self-trust. Tomorrow, we're going to look at course correction. I made you promise not to get overwhelmed today with the bigness that I was inviting you into, because we're going to talk about closing the gap tomorrow. All right, you're well on your way. Imagine where you'll go. To Hawaii. This is a little confusing considering what's happening in Maui right now. It's all just in love and light. I have an interesting connection because that vacation photo that I shared with you guys in the opening reel, where I said, here we are on vacation, because I have the resources to take my kids on vacation like that now, but this is where we came from, right? We came from this moment of, I couldn't even buy their clothes and their food. So it was huge for me. This was also a last minute vacation that came up. I just felt this pull. Kathy had just been to Maui. I'm like, I got to go to Maui. And then Vivi comes home from school and she's like, Mom, can we go to Maui for spring break? And I'm like, actually, we can. Let's do it. I'm so happy that we did, because Lahaina was where we stayed. I can't even imagine like being right there in the midst of that, and what those, what our whole planet, but culturally what they're going through. I did also hear from a powerful light worker friend of mine that there are Royal Lemurian ley lines, original ley lines being reactivated over there in that space after this burning. So just, we always trust that the darkness serves the light. But for me, going to Hawaii represented, this is why I worked so hard. So I want you to tap in and I want you to feel that energy of whatever your Hawaii is. Whatever the physical embodiment of the magical transformation, the timeline that you want to jump into, just go there in your mind now. Go now. It's this energy, it's this vision, this why that will anchor you and will bring you back and help move you through the challenges. All right, come on back into the sacred classroom with me and I'll roll through these challenges with you. So limiting beliefs, like I said before, you're going to come up against a moment where you're going to have to prove your limiting beliefs wrong. We also have negative karma. That's our unconscious patterns. I look at karma as unlearned lessons. So these are unconscious patterns that become our navigation tool until we remove them. Ancestral bonds. This looks like feeling trapped by previous limitations in your bloodline. Sorry, my slides are jumpy. Soul contracts. Soul contracts are these protective deals that you make with yourself to keep yourself playing small. I know, dramatic pause, right? If I click my forward clicker too fast and I start going elevator on it, it goes 10. See, look, 10 ahead. I'm sorry, I can't blame my technology here. Let me just get back control of my classroom. Life gets busy. You stop prioritizing your self-care. Confusion sets in, not knowing where to start, or not prioritizing the right things, prioritizing the wrong things. Pivoting, spinning your wheels, feeling like it's what you're doing isn't working. And burnout, lacking the proper energetics around success, thinking that you need to work harder. These are the things that stand in your way as you are moving forward. Here, why are my slides going backwards? All right. Slides are pissing me off. Is it okay with you all if I just ditch the slides for today and we'll come back to them tomorrow and talk more about the next steps for you? And we just be here. Let's spend this last 5 minutes holding the energy, holding the frequency of what we want to step into. It's more important anyway, is that we learn to hold that frequency. And I know that if I get frustrated with technology, I'm wasting my damn time because I have y'all here in the space and we got the records open and we're calling forward our greatness. Let's overcome in this way. And we'll go smooth with the slides tomorrow. Okay, here's one of my favorite tricks. Life hacks, quantum life hacks. I want you to hold the frequency, the clarity around what you wrote in the GPS worksheet. Okay. And we're going to do theta brainwaves. We're going to activate theta brainwaves. So if you close your eyes and you gently look up underneath your eyes, you're going to create a jumping effect. You want to do this gently. You don't want to do it so long that you get a headache. But you can do it a little bit and then pause and then do it a little bit. Okay. And what this does, it activates those theta brainwaves. These are the special brainwaves that you use when you're sleeping. We've talked about dreaming, or I should say dreaming. We've talked about dreaming a bit this week. But the cool thing about theta brainwaves is they don't recognize limitation. So as we have this few minutes here together and we're all thinking about our highest timelines, and we're sending that theta brainwave energy out there, we're connecting with the grids, the dodecahedron that surrounds planet Earth. We are informing the grids of our desires, our intentions. Good. Check in with yourself and the frequencies of unconditional love. Can you feel unconditional love in your body? See if you can notice that unconditional love for each other in this space. See if you can notice the pulse, the heartbeat of this group, the consciousness of this group. Good. Let your cells memorize this frequency. This is a cellular map. So when you do notice that you are out of alignment with your highest potential, with this energy, with this feeling that we've called up today, you can find your way back to it, giving your cells the directive to memorize this frequency. Good job. Bringing the hands together in prayer position, slight pressure on the left and right palm so that we can integrate this. A lot of timeline shifting happening today. Giving thanks for all knowledge and healing that comes forward in this space, and acknowledging the frequency of oneness. And with one final Om, closing the Akashic Records. Ah. The records are now closed. All right, it's 10 a.m. Ooh, I will say that was incredibly powerful what came in. And I want to honor our time. It's 10 o'clock. We can officially close this classroom container since the records are closed. And I'm going to stick around for a little bit. I'll do some Q&A with you all if you have questions or anything that came up specifically that you want to share. There is one thing that the guides want to bring through about what did happen today. And they're saying that was, there's massive timeline shift that happened, not only in you getting clear and writing down and bringing through what you did on your GPS worksheets today, but also when we held that frequency for the planet, a lot shifted. Here's the thing about jumping timelines. I said the thing, there are a couple things. First thing the guides want to address is the vibrational match. And that is, sometimes we glimpse, we catapult, we get this high burst of energy where we are vibing to that timeline. And then gravity is fierce, y'all. Go back into your real lives, even your 3D daily life after this. You'll feel high and good for a little bit, but then you notice that it starts to wane somewhat. Gravity is fierce. That's when I get the damn slides working correctly. I'll show you how I overcome gravity, but you just have to wait for that till tomorrow. Anywho, so there is a possibility that you fall back out of the time, this vibrational match, this new energy that we've set today. It's normal. Find your way back here. What you don't want to do is say, oh, I guess that was bullshit because it didn't really work. And here I am back in my regular time again. Because what you're doing is you're excusing and you're dismissing the magic. You don't want to do that. You don't want to create that vibrational frequency. We want more magic, not less. Okay. So look out point there. The other thing about jumping into timelines. Oh, yes. All right. So let's say you were here before in your health and you want to jump all the way up here, or in your relationships, and you have a big trajectory of where you want to go. We can shoot our consciousness or make this pinpoint trajectory of the, I'm going to call it the destination timeline. That's what the guides are calling it. But we've got to recognize that we have to move through all of these different dimensional layers of pressure shifts, the guides are putting it. So think of a scuba diver going down. Yeah, you got the gear. Yeah, we know where you're headed, but you still have to go through each different pressure change layer. I'm sure that's not what it's called. I'm sorry if we have scuba divers in here and you're just like, oh man, she's butchering it. Yeah, it's just an analogy. As you go down through the pressure layers, you've got to acclimate. And so it's the same as we're going up. If we're going up, right? There's acclimation that needs to happen along the way. So you may have jumped a radical vibrational increase, what we would call rapid acceleration. And it may not feel like what you think it feels like because you're acclimating through dimensions as you go, but trust the work that you've done today. Cool, that makes sense. All right, let's open up Q&A. If there's any Q&A, any questions you have, I'll let the guides be the A that come through. Or share with me what landed for you today. Going once. Going twice. Oh, wait, here's Deborah. Deborah says, sorry, I have to go. We'll catch questions later. Cool. Okay, I'm going to start the countdown over. Going once. Going twice. All right, with no further ado, then we will officially close the sacred classroom and the Zoom room for today. Tomorrow is all about course correction. It is powerful, practical. Thank you for your patience with me while I figure out how to make my slides roll smooth. Maybe we just had some jumping coming in today because I did notice that our YouTube video was a little jumpy too. So we'll work on making it smooth for y'all. Keep talking to us over in the Facebook group, and we'll see you back here tomorrow. Bye.